What is Brahmm? G-O-D. I say there is G-O-D. G-O-D is the absence of knowledge, the limit of the knowledge, be it in any frame of reference. This is something that is absolutely invariant by the very definition. G-O-D means something or some entity that is absolute, that is ultimate, that is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, that is absolute, ultimate consciousness. But isn't the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent part God? Yes, it is. But here, G-O-D or Brahmm is something that is not limited by these titles, and also is. Therefore, G-O-D cannot be spoken of, and I mean literally. There is no word or thought or idea or notion that describes or can describe G-O-D. G-O-D is limited, not omnipresent, not omniscient, not omnipotent, not absolute, not ultimate, not an entity, non-being, something and nothing. G-O-D is finite. G-O-D is limited by these titles. G-O-D can be spoken of. There is word or thought or idea or notion that describes or can describe G-O-D. But even then, G-O-D is beyond and not, and is and not, and is and not, and is and so on, and not. Whatever I said is G-O-D and isn't G-O-D. G-O-D is true. The statement that G-O-D is G-O-D is true, isn't true. The statement that G-O-D is G-O-D is true, isn't true, isn't true. The statement that G-O-D is G-O-D is true, isn't true, isn't true, isn't true, and so on. This statement that I just stated isn't true. The statement that I just stated just before isn't true as well. The statement that I just stated isn't true as well. The statement that I just stated, along with this statement being stated, isn't true as well, and so on. G-O-D cannot be stated. G-O-D can be stated. Even this statement doesn't define or capture G-O-D. Even this statement that stated that even this statement doesn't define or capture G-O-D cannot define or capture G-O-D. And the same is true for this statement, and this statement being stated up to and up to here and here and here and here and here. Words can be written and spoken all the way. But whatever written or spoken or experienced, G-O-D is beyond and not. It is like chasing and moving with respect to oneself, with respect to one's own frame of reference, trying to reach and capture or get to or attain one's own frame of reference, of being, of existence. How can one move with respect to oneself? How can one get beyond oneself? How can one get within oneself? How can one be out or beyond oneself as something more that is more than oneself? How can one be within oneself? as something as a subset of oneself. If one isn't and cannot be in the without oneself as something more than oneself, as a superset containing oneself, and cannot be within oneself as something less than oneself, as a subset containing oneself, then what is one? And what is and where is one? In between, like a border between them? But isn't the one the whole of itself? So if it involves whole of itself, shouldn't one involve the within of oneself? So therefore, is one the whole of the within of itself and up to the limit or border of itself? If so, the beyond it is beyond its scope or being or existence. Now, any word or idea or thought or state or existence or experience written or spoken or thought of or conceived of or experienced is limited within that self, within that existence or being. So it is impossible for any word or statement to reach the beyond, simply for the reason that it is beyond it. And therefore, the beyond of anything is at infinity with respect to that thing. This is valid for anything, and therefore the beyond is unreachable and unattainable and unknowable. This is what's God. This is what is God. But again, that also means that the beyond for that thing does not exist for that or with respect to that thing, as it is never reachable or experienceable and cannot be brought to existence with respect to that thing. But because, as previously mentioned, and for the same reason and by the same logic, because this itself is some description or word, this is not true for the very reason that God is beyond word, isn't beyond word. But again, whatever said is no God and is, even to this point and to this point and to this and to this and to this and to this and so on and not. God is by definition generator, Brahma, operator, Vishnu, destroyer, Shiva, God, and therefore isn't. God is God, God isn't God. God is, God isn't. God is everything, God is nothing. God is nothing, therefore God is everything. God is contradiction, God is indefinition. God is indefiception, God is INFIDEFICEPTION. Therefore, God is God, God isn't God.